Okay, I think we can start to kick things off. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining, and we're happy to have you all with us, and excited to share an amazing success story with you all today. As some of you might know, hopefully you've seen that we've put out a couple of articles recently, over the last couple of years, about the story, the evolving innovation program at Forvis Mazars. And now we're lucky enough to have the team here with us for the first ever webinar together. So it's going to be a great session. They'll talk you through the full journey. We'll have some great insights. So let's dive right in. So we've got a packed agenda today. I'll run through it very quickly. First up, I'll give our wonderful speakers a chance to introduce themselves quickly. Then I'll hand over to Andrew for an overview of Qmarkets. We'll then have a poll, so keep an eye out for that before we dive into the main part of the session, which is a discussion panel. So the chat is already open. Feel free to say hello, share what you're up to, share your LinkedIn profile, share some questions, and as always, we'll have a Q&A at the end to address those. So as you can see, hopefully in the cameras, these are our lovely speakers for today. I'll ask each of you to quickly introduce yourselves, say hello, and maybe share a quick fact about yourselves. So to start with, maybe Andrew, you can jump in.
Sure, absolutely. Wonderful to be with you, with everyone today. So my name is Andrew Corbuschle. I work as a Senior Global Account Manager here at Qmarkets and have been here for over 10 years now. Really pleased to be with you. A little, I guess, fact behind me outside of work. Apart from, loving the classic DIY and family time together, which makes me sound very middle-aged. I'm a bit of a gamer, actually, particularly with one of my younger teenage son. Of course, I often let him win, as I tell him. But yeah, great to be with you all today.
Lovely. Thanks for that, Andrew. Beau, would you like to go next? We've got another speaker from the UK, but joining us from the US, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thanks, Elliot. Pleasure to be here. So my name's Beau. I'm the Director of Innovation Operations for Forvis Mazars in the US, despite the accent, based here in Manhattan. Fun fact, well, I don't normally sound like a Hollywood heartthrob. I've actually lost my voice overnight. So this is not my kind of normal voice. I'll give you that one. Elliot, back to you.
Lovely. Thanks, Beau. Yeah, you sound great to us. Denny, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hey, good morning, good afternoon to everybody, depending on where you are. I saw Rob from Amsterdam, so it's afternoon over there. But happy to be here with you this morning. I'm a partner at the firm. Just by way of quick background, I spent my first 16 years or so in client service as an auditor. So been around the business for a long time, understand it. About 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to kind of jump in and look at, process improvement and innovation. And so I've been on that journey now for the past 10 years. Absolutely blessed, absolutely love being a part of innovation here at the firm. I am based in Charlotte, North Carolina. I know it's probably obvious to a lot of people that I'm from the southern part of the U.S. by way of accent here, but such a pleasure to be here with you today. Fun fact, I don't really have any super cool fun facts. Proud father of two, avid golfer, although I'm terrible, probably at both, being a father and golfer, but two things I absolutely love.
Great stuff. And last but not least, John, would you like to share a few details?
Yeah, thanks, Elliot. My name's John. I'm actually based in Springfield, Missouri. So I've always lived in the big city, worked as a chemical engineer, product manager, and innovation analyst. But I think maybe living in Springfield, it's always been kind of hard to get in touch with handymans and different things for different needs. So maybe that is the fun fact. I never had a drill until like 4 years ago. Always living in a big city. So I got my first drill 4 years ago, and now I'm creating a Home Depot, Lowe's, and Menards credit card all at the same time. So that's life here, and I'm loving it here.
Great stuff. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate that quick introduction, and I'm sure we'll get to know each of you a bit more as we go on with the session today. Each of you bringing some different insights and different perspectives to the program. So, Andrew, I think the next couple of slides are for you, just to give a quick overview of Qmarkets for anyone who's not familiar.
Absolutely, happy to do so. So as Elliot said, for those of you who perhaps aren't familiar with Qmarkets, and I can see by the attendees, we've got some Qmarkets veterans joining us today, and we're really glad to have you with us. So in Qmarkets, we understand that running an innovation program is not easy, regardless of the size of the organization that you're running it in, whether you're more of a smaller kind of national based organization or whether you're more of a global entity such as Forvis Mazars. So at Qmarkets, we work with organizations of all sorts of sizes and shapes and across different industries as well. And with that, of course, we have been able to support them in their strategy, in their innovation programs, to provide a tool that enables them to collect, to collaborate around, and see results from ideas across a very broad range of whether it's internal employees or external participants. So as a tool and as an overall view, we consider this as kind of an innovation ecosystem. And with this innovation ecosystem, we understand that, it isn't all about immediately what is it that we're trying to address. We understand that there are influences that affect an organization. And those challenges translate into different needs that impact and that require that attention from an innovation team. So whether it's about trends or scouting, whether it's more around idea management or perhaps more of a continuous improvement, or ultimately managing that portfolio, we strive to be able to support your system, your strategy, by providing a platform that gives you the abilities and the tools to be able to do that, and ultimately support you in obtaining and achieving a positive ROI. So that's Qmarkets in a nutshell.
That's great. Thanks, Andrew. So, like I mentioned, we'll start with a quick poll just to make sure you guys are all awake. So we've got a couple of interesting questions here. You should see them pop up on your screen very shortly. And this is kind of aimed at other professionals, other innovation leaders running their own programs. I mean, that's going to give us some great insights on the audience. So you should see these now. The first one is, how experienced are you with managing an employee idea management program? And we've got the full scale of options there, from I'm just getting started all the way up to I've scaled multiple programs. And if you're not very experienced, if you've got no experience in that area, then you can choose the last option there at the end. And the second question is, in your experience, which employee tenure group is most likely to actively participate in innovation initiatives? So this is an interesting one, I know, for the guys at Forvis, because it relates to their efforts, to the great engagement rates that they're seeing, and it's interesting to see how that is impacted by the number of years or the amount of time that an employee has spent at the company. So we're curious to get your inputs on this before we dive in. So I'll give you all another 5-10 seconds to give your answers, and hopefully that will allow most of you to participate. So I think most of you have answered. I'll close it in 3, 2, 1. Great. And I'll share the results so you guys can all see as well. And as you can see, the majority of the people here today are actively managing a program. So you're in the right place, and hopefully you'll get some great insights and best practices from this session. And in terms of the second question, it seems like it is difficult to generalize, which I think makes sense, especially across all the different companies and industries. There's a lot of other factors that can impact this, but it does seem like if there is any level of maturity or tenure level that is most likely, it's the early level, which is interesting because Obviously, if you're with a company for a long time, you would expect that they're the most engaged, or, well, not the most engaged, the most loyal, the most mature in terms of the processes. So that's an interesting one. Any comments on that from any of you guys? No? No worries. Well, feel free to add any other comments that you guys have in the chat, and we'll keep an eye out there. But for now, I think we'll dive into the next part, which is going to be led by you, right, Denny? I'll hand
Yeah.
over to you, and you can give us some background on Forvis Mazars for everyone.
So thank you very much, Elliot. And we'll just spend a few minutes on this and kind of get through it rather quickly. But we are still a relatively young brand in the world today, but we are Forvis Mazars. We're a top-ranked global professional services accounting firm. Forvis Mazars is a new brand in the market, and as we think about that, wanted to give a little bit of history on how we got there. So if we think about our journey over the past few years, we've experienced like tremendous growth and a lot of change, but it's all been really great for our firm. So back in February of 2022, we were two top 20 firms here in the US. DHG was primarily Southeast based firm in the US. BKD was a Midwest-based firm. Both firms were doing work all over the country. So we were doing work in all 50 states, but we truly wanted to become a national firm. And so we had been friends. Both firms were friends for a long time. And we had a merger of equals between those two firms back in February of actually effective June 1 of 2022. And so we created a firm, gave it a new brand called Forvis. And Forvis is future focused. And the name Forvis actually spawned from forward vision. And that's kind of a mantra that we talk about a lot within the firm. And that's what we aspire to be. Always have that continued future focused mentality, always focus on the vision for the future. So I mentioned that we were two firms that wanted to become national, but both firms also had a longer term vision of becoming global. I think we all know this, we live in a global world today. And so, we wanted to become a national firm with aspirations of becoming a global firm. This past year, we had the great opportunity to partner with another firm that we were really, really friends with, that we had worked with internationally before. And so Forvis created a global network with a firm named Mazars. And so this past June 1 of 2024, we became Forvis Mazars. So that's who we are today. Interestingly enough, I was originally from the legacy DHG. John was originally from the legacy BKD. And Beau was from legacy Mazars. So we've got all three of the firms that have come together over the past 3 years represented here on the call. But I think what we've built today is something that's truly special. So very proud to be part of Forvis Mazars. You can see here, we wanted to kind of show our purpose, mission, and vision to you all today. But, it's really all about client service. We live in a rapidly changing world. So how are we there to help our clients achieve their goals? And really, our mission is to build remarkable careers, but provide that unmatched client experience to our clients. And so that is kind of the whole focus of the firm here today. As we became global over this past year, one of the things, just enhanced global capabilities, is something that we're extremely focused on today. Love from an innovation standpoint, this global network's given us a whole lot more people with different backgrounds to collaborate with on innovation and other things like that. So really, this past year has probably been the most exciting in my career, just bringing all of this together and truly becoming that global firm. So just moving forward here, wanted to share with the group just, who do we primarily serve? In the United States, we've got 10 major industry focuses that we focus on today. So just to give you a little bit of background here, typically a lot of the big industries, this is not an all-encompassing slide, but when we think about how we serve clients, we really have a lot of expertise and talent in these 10 areas. We talked about before the merger in the U.S. of BKD and DHG. We truly wanted to become a national firm, and as you can see from kind of the highlighted map here, you know, we were able to accomplish that. So we're in 29. We have office locations in 29 different states, total of 75 markets. We're probably around 7,500 to 8,000 employees today, and over 2.2 billion in annual revenues from just the U.S. part of Forvis Mazars. Our global presence, you can see, and this is what I really love, and I just think about the world today. Love being part of this global network. You can see that combined we're over 5 billion in global revenues in over 100 countries. 400 combined offices and locations, 1,800 plus combined partners these days, and over 40,000 employees. So when I think back to my career and just the evolution of the firm from where I started to where we are today is just so exciting. But I think this international capability is really going to open up a lot of doors for us in the future as a firm. So one of the things that when we think about firm, we think about Forvis was created based on a forward vision, future-focused firm. Innovation is one of the things at the firm that is just super critically important to us as we think about this. So, you know, what have we done to address this, right? We created an innovation team that we brand internally as EDGE, the Innovation Lab. And so when you think about our mission, it's really quite simple. We have a twofold mission that really focuses on, one, how do we deploy highly relevant, valuable technology solutions to both our clients and our people within the firm. So that's what we want to do. We want to help our clients, like in the world of you know, professional services accounting, how can we help our clients solve pain points and problems that exist outside of the core compliance stuff that they deal with when it comes to audit and taxes and things like that. But also for our people, when we think about our people, how do we better leverage technology to enhance the client experience that our clients are getting from our services? So how do we unlock value? How do we do it better, smarter, faster by using technology? And that's really the whole purpose of our Innovation Lab, is to better leverage technology for our clients and our people. The second part of that, and this is a lot of where Qmarkets has helped us as a firm over the past 5 years or so, Andrew, is really to strengthen the culture of innovation at the firm. I think we have a super strong culture of innovation. We have really, really innovative people throughout the firm. But as we've gotten larger, and now we're, you know, over around 7,500 employees or more, you know, it gets harder. How do you continue to kind of strengthen that culture of innovation? How do you benchmark and measure progress on a culture of innovation? So it is this continuous focus that we have on how do we make our people better? How do we get better at innovation? Starting from a really strong perspective and standpoint, how are we better creative problem solvers and critical thinkers and things like that? So John, Beau, and I spend a lot of time out with people around the firm just trying to solidify and just make that culture of innovation stronger.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Danny, for sharing that. You know, it's one of the things that really stands out from what you shared is the passion. The passion for the industry that you're in, the passion for the business you're a part of, and of course, the passion for the innovation as well. And one of the things that we see on a regular basis is that one of the significant impacts that can happen around an innovation strategy, innovation team as well, is the passion that's behind it with those that are involved. And perhaps that could be part of our first question to you guys. What would you say? Maybe just tell us a little bit about what inspires each of you around innovation on a daily basis. I mean, Beau, maybe could you share a couple of thoughts from your side?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. I guess for me, I'm a little bit of an innovation geek in reality. I've almost got this inherent built-in curiosity and desire to just help people, you know, to make a meaningful impact. And as Danny said, you know, people are really innovative, but they need support. And And every day I get the opportunity to really create change, inspire people, and look at genuine technology opportunities that are going to impact both our people and our clients' lives for the better. And I guess just seeing the impact of those innovations, that's just incredibly motivating. It's what makes me come to work every single day. It's just the opportunity to just a little bit make the world a better place, just one idea at a time. So every day I'm inspired to come into work and just help people. That's my story. But John, I don't know, what would you say in terms of your motivations behind that?
Sure. So I think we actually use the analogy of bird, naming our project after bird, because the reality of ideas is it takes a lot of effort to incubate the idea, but it also takes a lot of effort to develop and ultimately help it take flight. So actually we name all our project internal code name after birds. But what it does is from an innovation and ideation standpoint, we see ideas. I mean, we all know that fail fast is a great principle, but we sometimes maybe not moving as fast on ideas because lack of information, just definition of the problem, just the different type of opportunities missed from ideas, not seeing another idea from other side of the firm, therefore losing the potential of ideas getting even bigger. So I think helping bring that connection and then feeding that connection into a formalized process that is consistent, that allows us to scale. I think being the expert of the process of ideation, I think that really kind of gives us purpose in what we do and add value for the firm.
And I think that's really important. There's some really valid points there around culture, around process, around, again, that passion for it as well. Denny, from your side, what is it that you would say kind of motivates you each day? I mean, we can feel your energy for this as well.
So I'll approach it a little bit differently and maybe fall on my sword here a little bit, Andrew. I think it spawns from being a lazy person. Like, I've always been looking for better, easier, faster ways of doing the things that I need to do. So I think about being lazy. I want something to be easier. I want it to be faster. I do want it to be better. I want it to be higher quality. And so I think a lot of it spawns from that. I love identifying new ways to do things, identifying ways that creates a net new advantage for our clients, for our people, for us as individuals, right? And so I think it's really that desire for continuous improvement in whatever it is that you're doing. And also kind of a second part of that is just technology. I was and still am an accounting nerd. I love reading standards and things like that. I know that makes me weird, but I love doing things like that. But I also love technology. I love learning more about technology. When you think about it, when I was in college is really when the internet became mainstream. I worked for a few years at an international firm out of college that I didn't have a cell phone for the first 3 years I was in. And so I think about just my reliance on a cell phone today and in technology and where it's grown and where it continues to go. I'm an avid AI guy. Like, ChatGPT came out, generative AI became democratized with ChatGPT, and I absolutely love that stuff. One of the things, I think about AI, I think it's got a prominent home in business in the future, and I think we're going to continue to see that evolution and adoption over time. But one of the things I love most about ChatGPT is the fact that when it came out, and people have had a chance to experiment with that and other, types of generative AI, I've seen an uptick in the way people think about innovation. And so you had people that were longer tenured people in our clients and within our firm that think about, they were comfortable with the way things have always been done. But you've seen this kind of renewed interest in, hey, there probably are better ways to do the things that we do today. And I love seeing that. Elliot, thinking about the first polling question back there, the innovation initiatives, there was nobody in that long tenured 7+ years that answered the question that they have a lot of participation in that area. I love seeing that. I love getting with partners in the firm, with our executives at clients, and really watching them gravitate to looking for new and improved and better ways to do things like that. So it might have been a long-winded answer there, y'all. I apologize, but I do get truly fired up and inspired every day. It's not hard to get out of bed and come to work thinking about innovation.
And I love that answer, Denny. And I think that that really brings us around to a real strong point that I wanted to ask as well. You know, that passion that you have, and you touched on there about leadership of Forvis Mazars, senior leadership being really kind of involved and having some of that passion as well with it. And the question that came to my mind was really kind of looking at it then, we've heard from the three of you about your individual passion. From a company perspective, what would you say is continuing to inspire Forvis Mazars to pursue innovation? And I mean, for example, is it because more of a disruption to your market, or is it perhaps the CEO, something that the CEO believes in? Or for, we see it in other places where perhaps it's more of a bottom-up thing that the employees are demanding. Is there any thoughts on that, Beau? Any insights?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's in reality, in our business, it's a combination of factors. Our CEO has a strong belief in innovation. It really does. And so that sort of sets the tone from the top. But as Denny said, there are these market disruptions. We're talking about AI. We're all seeing disruption right now. And our people are actually demanding that. Our clients are demanding that we start to leverage and use technology or explore ways to use this technology that's going to better serve them. We also said that we have a great culture of innovation, as Denny said. And so our people are really passionate about being innovative and contributing towards innovation. So that's great. So I guess we're being pulled both from, pushed from a top down, but also this kind of pull from the bottom as well to be truly innovative. I would say what sets us apart is the culture and commitment to valuing every single idea that our people submit, because ultimately these are impacting our clients as well as our people. And so we believe passionately in an unmatched client experience. We really do. And so the way that we do that is through collaborative brainstorming sessions, exploring cutting edge technology, as Denny said, encouraging continuous learning through innovation days, for example. And we just try to ensure that innovation is just woven into the very DNA of the business. And as a holistic approach, that helps us to adapt to the changing environment and adopt technology as it becomes available to us in the marketplace. And it means that we're able to challenge the status quo every single day. So it's not a one-dimensional thing. It's not being driven directly down from the CEO. It's not just due to market impacting factors. It's really quite holistic.
And I love that. I think that when we start to consider it as more of a holistic side, it's about then supporting that in a way that is relevant and that is sustainable and is suitable to fit around the organization. Which brings me back a little bit more about the innovation or the Edge program that you have running there as well. John, I wonder if you could just share maybe just a little bit more. I know Denny has touched on the program that you have running there as well, but I know that there's some great history on there as well. Denny mentioned that we've been working with you in Qmarkets, providing the platform and elements around that for the past 5 years now. And just curious, maybe if you have any additional little insights about where the program itself actually began in that regard.
So you might have seen the previous slide, which shows the team, but the team is also kind of really associated with how we've evolved, and with the evolution of teams and the skills that the different team members bring, and we'll probably hear more about that in the process. But as we went from DHC, BKD, and then we moved into Forvis. So Forvis, if you recall, Forvis stands for Forward Vision. So with a name like Forward Vision, there was a strong push and initiatives around innovation and kind of emerging needs. So that was also around the time when we really looked into Qmarket adoption. So we really kicked off our first campaign, January 2023. So since then we're at 50 plus. And as we went through the different type of campaigns, maybe one thing that we really see as maybe a really big catalyst for our evolution is we create a campaign really early called Campaign for Campaigns. We placed in the homepage at the very bottom, and basically, okay, these are the campaigns that we have available for you to participate right now. But always you have an option of if you have other campaigns we should be doing, tell us what it is. So we had a Campaign for Campaign. We launched 1 month after we launched our first campaign. So through that kind of source, we were able to spin off a lot of different case studies and use cases for different ways, which is why we are able to exponentially grow and learn very quickly, and we are still learning. And maybe then you can further elaborate on the team slide right there as part of our enablers.
Yeah, this journey with innovations, it has been so fun to be part of, right? If you think about the screen that we're looking at now that has the different types of professionals that we have within the innovation team, we really are truly kind of focused on this software development company within a large professional services firm. And so it's a cool experience. We're kind of separate and apart from our technology team here at the firm, but we work very closely and hand in hand with those folks on how we deliver these types of solutions. When I think back to the creation of this, it all starts with ideation. And that's where Qmarkets, Andrew and Elliot, y'all been a great partner with us, because what we knew is that we knew that there were people out there within the firm sitting on really great ideas that are impactful for our clients, ideas that are meaningful for us as a firm. And so we were looking for, how do we really elevate this? And how do we surface those ideas? How do we get them into the hands of the right people? I remember early on when I was growing up, I had all kinds of innovative ideas, some good, some bad, but I wanted to share them with people. So I would always email people. And then you think email becomes this black hole. And what we were looking for was this kind of one door, right? Because I think innovation starts with the right ideas, the impactful, the meaningful ideas that really jumpstart this program. So John, Beau, we spent a lot of time on that side of the business, and it's been really impactful for us. Just having kind of this, what we call the one door into innovation, is Qmarkets for us as a firm. We internally refer to our program as Eureka to get the great ideas in. And it's been really helpful for us. We've seen a lot of adoption with the platform over time. We do at times, we have limited resources on innovation and things like that. So we managed the throttle a little bit on the ideas and the idea types we're looking for. But it's been a fabulous journey, and Qmarkets was a catalyst to making sure that we are surfacing the best ideas from our people, and that we take this team of people when we execute on the right ideas.
So yeah, I mean, absolutely. And one of the things that we really would like to touch on is the process that you have been implementing there. Just before we go into that, there was something that you shared there, Denny, that I wanted to, again, maybe just open up a little bit more about this engagement with employees, with those that are involved around topics. Do you have any thoughts, Denny, or could you share maybe a little bit about what it is, what kind of different challenges that you are perhaps addressing with the support of the platform, but through your innovation activities, what kind of topics or perhaps use cases are you kind of really focusing on within the organization as you tackle it? I know John mentioned before, one of the first challenges was, what kind of challenges are there? But obviously progressing on from there, what type of areas of focus do you have that you engage the users with through your innovation initiative?
Yeah, I would say that we really have, what comes to mind, Andrew, when you ask the question, is three different things kind of hit the top of mind. Well, I'll call it four things because two of them kind of go together, but I'll break it out into four. So if you think about where we are as a firm today, having merged in three really successful and large firms over the past 3 years to create Forvis Mazars. Optimization is a big thing for us. We've had a lot of system integrations, a lot of integration to one system, one methodology, all of these types of things. So today, one of the things that we're heavily focused on is how do we optimize our business? And so recently, this calendar year, actually, our CEO came out with is sponsoring some of our optimization campaigns using Qmarkets. And so what he's really looking for is the ideas from our people on how do we, now that we're all integrated together today, it's time to focus on how do we optimize what we're doing within the firm. And so we've got campaigns that are going today to surface those ideas. The campaign will be coming to an end here at the end of the month. So, we're really looking forward, and we've got some great and impactful ideas through that. So number one is optimization. I think number two in my mind is around it's sort of what we call external innovation. And so as we're all out and we're talking to clients every day, people from around the firm having these conversations with their clients, what we're starting to see is that, there's a lot of pain points and problems that our clients have, things that keep them up at night. And so we're always looking for these external ideas of, how do we help our clients solve the pain points and problems that they have that kind of fit in our wheelhouse as a firm today. So that external helping clients achieve their goals is probably the second big bucket there. The third bucket, I would say, is AI. And what are we doing with AI today? And what should we be doing with AI? I've been to a lot of conferences lately, and they talk about AI. When I was at conferences a year ago, it was a lot about, should we be using AI? Is this the right thing to do? And is this the right technology and all this sort of thing? What I've been hearing this year is that conversation has shifted from should we to, what am I doing today versus what do I need to do a year from now, 3 years, 5 years, and where should my focus be? Obviously, when it comes to AI internally, using it safely and responsibly is always the big thing. So a heavy focus on that. So I would think another area that we're looking at, maybe the third big bucket is AI. And what the impact of that to our clients and our people, and how do we look to adopt that safely and responsibly to solve some of the pain points and challenges that either we have as a firm or that our clients have. The fourth big bucket is really kind of a broad bucket around what are transformational, disruptive technologies that we need to be thinking about. That I think a lot of that, the reason why I said 3 initially and then I expanded it to 4, I think AI kind of fits in that transformational bucket, right? What are technologies that we should be exploring? What's on the trend radar for the future? Where do we need to be looking so that we can, be in front of some of the curves, the technological changes and things like that are going to happen in the future? So when I think about campaigns, those are kind of 4 big buckets that we have active today. I think other campaigns that are super impactful are for our service lines. I mean, we're professional services, audit, tax, consulting are our 3 big buckets. And each one of those do things differently, right? And they have their own ideas. So we really have these sort of evergreen campaigns within those areas of, hey, we always want your ideas to optimize, to become more efficient, to do things better, to better leverage technology, things like that. So really, I expanded 4 now into 7, but we found a lot of use cases for how do we really target the right ideas from the right people and get those into the hands of others. When I think about the firm as a whole, one thing that the innovation group, we do kind of administer Qmarkets across the firm, but we don't own Qmarkets for those other people, right? If we've got our HR, our learning and development, our finance and accounting team, whatever, we want to empower them with the ability to create their own campaigns. So John would have the numbers better than me, but at any given point in time, we have, 10 or 12 different campaigns running that are active that, maybe managed by various people across the firm, but it's been a huge way to try to get in those ideas and to keep that focus on the future. And are we doing the right things within the firm to better ourselves?
Maybe
We
just
are running just quickly, everyone. I know we said we would make time for a Q&A at the end, but we might be running a little bit short. So just as a heads up, if you do have questions, we'll be sure to address them afterwards, even if we don't have time for them on today's session. So don't be afraid to ask. We'll make sure we get back to you and get answers from the discussion here today and pass it on afterwards. But we'll try to keep to the schedule and not keep you guys over. So Andrew, I don't know if you want to move on to the process section now.
Yeah,
We've still got quite a lot to get through.
Yeah, we'll come to that. And John, did you want to just contribute something?
Oh, and again, I think within what just adding to what Dean was saying, even within the use cases that he said, there's also some evolutions and improvement that we've seen, converting something from initially a targeted short term to converting to permanent, depending on what it is. What was just supposed to be just one product project might turn into more of an ongoing farm, permanent, farm and community. So just there was some creativity around converting targeted to permanent and vice versa.
Absolutely.
What Denny said.
Yeah, and what you just shared, John, and what you shared there, Denny, as well. Again, I think this is really relevant. This is really important for those that are on the webinar today to understand, because sometimes that can be a big challenge. What is it that we're going to actually tackle and address through our innovation program? Sometimes we see companies that stay very focused on a very specific area, and there are others like yourselves that realize that actually it can be utilized to benefit the organization in many different aspects. And to underpin that, though, coming round to the slide we've got on here, Beau, could you share maybe just a little bit about the process that you're using to support this kind of initiative as well? Maybe just briefly who's involved in what stages on there. And then leading on from that, who is it that needs to be involved in all of this in order to be able to ensure that this is all kind of aligned with the strategic objectives of the business? Maybe between you and some thoughts from Denny on these.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can see here, our process is pretty robust and it's multi-stage with the sort of 5 areas of our end-to-end process. We believe that our people have the best ideas, and of course they're closest to the problems, and so they are the guys that will submit any problem that they see into either a specific targeted campaign, as Denny and John were alluding to, or actually the concept of Wandor, where anybody can submit a challenge that they're seeing in the business. And we have this end-to-end process that takes us from problem through to implementation. And the previous slide kind of alluded to our teams, where we have ideation-focused people, we have research teams, we have designers, obviously developers. We're looking to deploy, support, and actually market those products. So genuinely take a product to market. All of that, the fundamental basis of all of that is actually the Qmarkets platform, Eureka as we call it. And so any employee can submit an idea. Those ideas are often voted on. They're enriched through discussions using the Qmarket platform. And then ultimately we have a committee of people that will actually explore those ideas and decide whether they're going to be promoted or actually whether that's going to be resolved through some form of a process. So maybe it's going out to L&D. We need some training for people. Maybe there's something that HR already are implementing. So we have connectivity into all areas of the business. In terms of who's involved and how we align strategically, at a more senior leadership level within Edge, the innovation team, we are obviously acutely aware of exactly strategically which direction we're moving in, so we can make decisions based on that. But also going back to this network really that we've built across the various areas of the business means that we're able to also adapt quite quickly if we need to. So hopefully that answers the question. As I say, we're sort of 5 years into this with Qmarkets. We've got a pretty robust process, as you can see here. But we're not kind of sitting on our laurels neither. If there's opportunities, and we're constantly exploring where they are, to improve this process, then we absolutely will do that as well.
So do you have, so how are you, with all this going on, how are you managing the implementation of this at scale? I mean, Forvis Mazars in the USA is, a force to be reckoned with in many ways, scattered across the whole organization, as was said before as well, involving everybody that wants to be and is willing and is encouraged to participate. How do you then, involve everybody in there? Is it just purely through the platform, or do you have some other ways of communicating and nurturing that culture?
Good question. And I would say that's a challenge for any large organization. As you've seen from the numbers, we are upwards of 7,500 people in the US, 40,000 people globally. And that's a lot of people. So the way that we manage it is through decentralisation, because as a small innovation team, we can't drive the level of impact that we would want to at scale, but our people can. And so we have this concept, which is loosely based on the innovation diffusion curve, where we focus on the top 10%, the innovators, the people that want to make change, the people that get up every single day and want to make a difference in this business. And so these teams, they're from various departments and they contribute to that overall process. What we tend to do is interface directly with them. We call them the top 10 or T10 network. And then that's our circle of influence. And then subsequently, they share that with their own circle of influence. And so our network grows. And I would say that as a collaborative approach, this is what really helps us to scale whilst strengthening our overall network and capability, innovative capability as a business.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent. One of the things that which obviously I'm really delighted to hear is how the platform that you're utilizing from Qmarkets in this instance has really kind of supported this engagement across the whole organization. John, I know that you are very heavily involved in the administration, the direct administration of the platform on that one. Do you have any thoughts then about how that having a platform in place, in this case, specifically the Qmarkets one, has really kind of supported you in managing this process, but also, are there any specific features or capabilities that are invaluable to you and are particularly useful for you as you address that?
Sure. Maybe I would call it the 4 V's of that we're kind of getting out of the platform. The platform I think increases our variety of problems and ideas, and the variety of campaigns, from 1 to 50. There's a lot of variety that we are seeing. Volume, obviously, we are able to handle more information. In the past, we would actually have ideas submitted through internet, through someone forwarding me an email. We'll have a innovation event, and then we'll kind of download that and upload a whole bunch. So now we can have a centralized way of maybe comparing and contrasting. Ultimately that volume all in one place allows us to kind of pick through them, prioritize, and I would say that actually adds value to the process and the outcome. And so I would say, those are some of the obvious metrics that we track. And all of this, we would say that, we use the term one door to innovation. So from the user's point of view, one door implies the ease of access, ease of and transparency. So I would say it's easier to now collect, easier to review, and easier to process those ideas, allowing a more scalable solution for us going forward.
I'm really pleased to hear that. So I want to move on to I know we are up against the clock here. There's some really outstanding insights here, and I feel like I could listen to you guys for a lot longer than the time that we have. Denny, I want to ask you a little bit about kind of some of the really good stuff here, about the results that you've been getting from the platform as well. Are there any details that you can share about the kind of outcomes that you've generated through the innovation initiatives that have been there? Any specific solutions? For anyone involved in an innovation program can attest to how collecting ideas sometimes isn't the issue. It's about what you do with those ideas, how they move through, but the outcomes from that as well. Do you have any thoughts on that one as well that you could share?
Yeah, I happy to share some things like that. And I think Gail had questions here as I was just kind of looking in the chat, and I think John responded to some there. But really, when it comes to, one thing I'll say is innovation lives throughout the firm, right? We call ourselves the innovation lab or the innovation team, innovation department, whatever. But really, we have pockets of innovation groups everywhere. Like all of our service lines, consulting, audit, tax, they have groups that focus on innovating their specific service line. And what we do is we lock arms with all of those people throughout. So when it comes to prioritization and governance around the ideas that are coming in, just to make sure we hit Gail's question, each group or department primarily has their own prioritization and governance on that. So if we think about, if we get ideas into the one door, for example, we find the right home for that idea. And then each group has a prioritization and governance committee set up to take in and evaluate and then prioritize those ideas and what happens to them when they go. If, sometimes it could be stuff that is technology dependent. Sometimes it's not. It could be just simple process improvement type things, right? And so depending on that, it may hit another gate of prioritization and governance, right? If we had a lot of ideas coming to our internal technology team or the innovation team that required some type of technology development, right? We have to have a gate to prioritize and govern those. But it's very decentralized in terms of what's done, but it's centralized within the right group, department, function within the firm so that they can make sure that the ideas are being evaluated at the right level by the right people. I hope that made sense. I feel like I rambled just a touch there, but that's kind of the way we do it, is we want to empower the right people from the right group to be able to govern and prioritize their innovative ideas that are coming in through the firm.
Excellent.
We've seen ideas come in and we've executed on those ideas, and we're building backlogs with other ideas, right? So I think we've seen a lot of success with the ideas. We've, as an innovation team, we've had several actual products that, we may sell or license to clients that come from this innovation from the ideation through Qmarkets. So we've been able to develop products. We've had a lot of process changes and improvements based on ideas. We've seen various systems be sunset and new technologies purchased to address some of these. So we've seen a wide range of ideas come in that have been actionable and that we have taken action on. This optimization campaign that we're looking at right now is kind of a great example of that. When I've gone through and looked at the ideas, it's going to be an exercise for us to prioritize and govern all of the ideas, because there's so many good ideas coming in, and it's, plucking out the ones. We've got different ways that we scale things, low, medium, high impact, low, medium, high sort of level of effort to get there kind of thing. So that one's been really beneficial just to see the ideas coming in from our people. So we've had a lot of success with ideating from our people. We obviously, spend time ideating with clients as well as looking at, what's happening within the technology world itself and what's happening out in other companies and businesses and what they're doing. So it's, we spend a lot of time on internal ideation, but also how do you take this sort of macro look at ideation as well as to what may be happening outside the walls of the firm or the walls of our clients and that sort of thing, and looking out into the future as to things that we should be doing.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. One of the things that we don't have time to dive into today, which I think just to put it out there, that we have been really impressed with through Forvis Mazars' efforts, is the engagement in their platform, having a very high level engagement when you're looking at how many are invited to participate and how many do. And I know that there's a lot of effort and work that goes into recognition for those that participate and communication through many different avenues to really instill this in employees. And unfortunately, we don't get time to dive into that. So just in the last couple of minutes that we have before, hopefully we'll have time for maybe one, perhaps two Q&As, just to kind of wrap this up, whilst we could be here for ages to dive deeper. Could maybe just each of you share just a key takeaway about kind of insights that you've learned from what you are accomplishing there and through the program there. I know it's difficult to pick only one, but in the interest of time, John, maybe could you share something, and then Beau, and then we'll finish up with Denny on that.
Sure. I would say that part of the messaging of why the why we should innovate part. I think everybody knows the disruption is exponentially growing. The needs and demands and problems are always exponential more than we have capacity to kind of handle them. Which is why I think we are constantly trying to evolve a better way to define the problem. So the better you are able to define the problem, faster, better. The more you're likely to handle that demand ahead. And just touching on the incentivizing and the engagement, we're dealing with very super busy people, and I think a recognition is another area for improvement as well. And we also have a lot of story in the future to share on that front. Then maybe I'll pass it to Beau as a tag.
Yeah, 1 point. Well, look, change is tough. Let's start there. And I'd say, as much as we all might be advocates for innovation, we have to accept that that's, different people have different parts to play in the process. And so maybe not everyone is focused day to day on innovation. I would say that the creation and the development of our, what we call our T10 network, so focusing on our innovators, has really been a game changer. And that, in combination with Qmarkets platform, has really enabled us to better scale our problem solving, our ideation, and ultimately our solutions. I would say that when I get feedback from people, and I do regularly, where we have implemented some form of solution or given them information that's enabled them to do their job that much easier, that's a really, really satisfying feeling for me. And going back to the reason why I innovate every single day. So for me, it's really around creating that network of innovators.
Excellent, thank you. And I'll ask a couple of words from Denny in the time that we have. What's your main take?
I agree with everything John and Beau just shared with that, and they probably steal a little of my thunder there. But I'll double back to a conversation what you had mentioned earlier, Andrew, and I think it's just making sure that we've got that strategic alignment between innovation and what your business or organization is trying to achieve. We think about, I can think of 3 really quick, strategic priorities for us, one of which is always growth, right? We're always trying to grow and evolve as a business. And we've got campaigns and ideas and things that focus on, the growth side of our business. I mentioned the optimization right now just because of the change that we've been through as an organization over the past 3 years. And so, we're focusing on making sure that the campaigns that we create and, the things that we do with the innovation team and using Qmarkets always kind of points back. The other big one that kind of pops in my mind that we're all kind of facing these days is, talent attraction and retention, right? And how do you build, provide that remarkable career for your people, and how do you make sure they've got the job satisfaction and the tools and the technologies that they need and want to be able to use, in today's technological world, right? And so, everything we're doing kind of points back to that, right? And I think it starts with pain points and problems. What are your pain points and problems? And then how do those tie back in directly, and how are we solving those with innovation and those sorts of things? But I think the strategic alignment, making sure that the campaigns and what we're doing as a group has a direct connection to what the firm's trying to accomplish as an overall business. And that's one of the things we always make sure that we're keeping our eye on and have a pulse on to make sure we don't get off track when it comes to innovation, because there are a lot of shiny objects we could chase in the innovation world, and we struggle with that at times too. I think AI is a great example of that, because there's new AI technology coming out daily, right? And so, making sure that we have that pain point or problem solving mentality when it comes to innovation that point directly to what we want to do as a firm as a whole is critically important to us, and something we always focus on.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yep, thanks a lot, Danny. Thanks, Beau. Thanks, John. Thanks, Andrew. We are just out of time, so we won't be able to address any questions live. I see that John has been active in the chat and in the Q&A section, so thanks a lot, John, for addressing those offline. But we'll get back to you if there's anything else. And really appreciate everybody joining us today and sharing this conversation with us, especially our speakers. You guys really had some great insights, and we'll hopefully catch up with you again another year from now and see how you're getting along and see what's new with your program. But really excited to go along on this journey with you and excited to see where it goes. So for everyone who hasn't read the deep dive articles that we've put out on this program, be sure to check those out. You can find the links in the chat, and we'll follow up with the recording of the session along with the links to those great articles. So thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it. I hope you all have a nice evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.